to the chat. Welcome again to my channel. My name is King. I'm happy to see you here again. This is Nigeria. I'm coming from Nigeria. How's everybody today? I am an alien, although I'm streaming from Nigeria. But yeah, welcome fellow aliens. Our community is growing, and I'm so excited to meet even more wonderful people here on the stream. So I don't know. Before I do that, there's something I wanted to show you guys, but I'll do that much later in stream. Anyways, I wanted to talk about some random gist here before I get really started. And the first thing I want to talk about is like, so yesterday, last night, I was celebrating getting past 200 subscribers. Like it was 209, and then a bunch of people just, the numbers just went down, yeah. And I'm still at 200, and I'm grateful for that. So it's like on everything yesterday, I ended up just having like, no, let's not think about it like that, yeah. I don't think about it as targeted or something. I feel like this is just the regular fluctuations that happens, as a small creator climbing up, whatever. And also, I think no matter what, I still feel very, very grateful because um, my watch hours are increasing, and I'm having a lot of views. People are checking the stream out. And more than that, I think the main thing I wanted a YouTube channel for was community. Yeah? I wanted to be able to see and meet people from all over the world. I wanted people to connect with me on my interests, the things I liked doing or like talking about mostly. And so far, since I started streaming, I have gotten a lot of that. I have met beautiful people like Politona. I've met beautiful people. I've met like interesting people with like from different walks of life with very varied um perspectives, on the world and just different things. And especially my love for books. My love for books has, soared and blossomed even more, by meeting people that also enjoy books, people that enjoy reading, people that enjoy, I don't know, talking about like fictional characters and the world that the like authors managed to create here. I love that aspect of me. I didn't lose it, through all the horrors and stress of growing up, um through all the horrors and stress of growing up. I'm so happy that I never lost that part of me. And I feel like even my fear of losing, the part of me that enjoys books, that fear is kind of irrational because that is just me as a person, yeah. And who I am as a person, it does not go anywhere no matter what happens, no matter what I experience, it does not go anywhere, it stays. And I feel like also because as a kid I found so much company, like I found a lot of companionship. Hello Daniel, thank you for joining the chat. How was your night? Good afternoon. Hello Rajinda. So hello Kumaru. Hi, welcome to the chat. So I was talking about how, hello John, hi, like you guys subscribe, yeah, and not after subscribing when the stream is over, you guys go to unsubscribe. Please, no more unsubscribing, okay? My night was okay. It was okay. I didn't even sleep like full, but I slept enough. I guess I was just excited for the next day because I hit a new milestone of what 200 subscribers, which is something that I don't think like for I've been on YouTube since 2014, yeah, and I've I've so many times I've looked. Thank you, Daniel. So many times I've pictured myself reaching this kind of big numbers, but those numbers, they just seem like far-fetched, I like fantasies, yeah. Even though when you're a Christian, I start to pray that, oh, let 1 million naira enter my bank account, yeah. Let 1 million naira enter my bank account, yeah. And 1,000 naira has not even entered your bank account. You get, so like you don't even know how 1,000 naira feels, and you're dreaming of 1 million naira. You get, and I don't know. It just feels like that moment after like so many years, of believing. Oh, don't worry, one day I'll wake up to 10K souls or 1,000. I've not even actually processed what 200 subs, feels like, yeah. So I felt very proud of myself. I spent a lot of time just like basking in the joy. Hello, Sugu. Hi, hi. I spent a lot of time just basking in the joy of that achievement for me. You get, and it's like I look forward to even bigger, much, much bigger achievement. Suguru, I'm so happy you're here. Yeah, so anyways, I was talking about how like my love for books here, you know it's kind of what shaped me as a human being. It was where I think I gained sentence that, oh, I'm living in the real world, like I'm living in a place I'm a human being, that kind of thing. Yeah, so like books, have always been a part of me, but there's also been this fear that maybe, like when you love something so much and you want to share it with the world. Like I don't know, like me, I feel that way. Like if I like something a lot, I want to share it to everybody. I want everybody to see this wonderful thing that I have, or I'm enjoying. Hello, innocent. I'm from Nigeria. Welcome to the chat. So I want, like, then I now opened a YouTube channel for that exact reason. And opening a YouTube channel, I was so glad to see, what to say, I was like excited, looking forward to seeing like wonderful things, like meeting people, sharing experiences. But the truth about YouTube is that it's a very, what to say, it is a business, it is a business model and all of that and all of that. Anyways, I'm not a business person. I don't know all this, I don't know all this, what to call it. I don't know all this, let me continue what I'm talking about. Goodbye. Goodbye. So I didn't know like how to operate, something that was like run on algorithms, and you have to do this right, you have to do this right, you have to do this right, stuff like that. Anyways, I'm so glad that I've gotten to this point in my YouTube. Hello, Faz. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. What to say? Hello, Faz. Здравствуйте. Добрый день. How was work today? How to say it? Let me check my Russian notes. How is work today? Faz, Faz. Let me check. Добрый день. Как у вас дела? Сейчас я is нормально. Я is нормально. So my main point of even coming online today is like, we've been talking about a lot of authors on this chat here. We've been talking about a lot of authors on this chat, and I've been talking a lot of what I've talked a lot of foreign authors. I don't know if foreign authors, like, and they're foreign to me because they're from like Europe and not America. I don't really have American, what to say. I don't have American this thing. I don't have any, I don't my American list is kind of mostly women, yeah. Thank you, Faz. Я люблю тебя тоже. Я люблю тебя. Как у вас семья? Как у вас семья? Как женщина? Как сын? Как дочь? Как да? Все. Anyways, like I was talking about, today I want to introduce this author. Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Ngugi is from, I think, let me read his let me read his introduction. The title of the book, it starts from what an introduction to the setting, which is Africa. Okay, since they first set foot in Africa, Europeans have held preferred the healthy grasslands of East and Central Africa to the malaria infested malaria infested forests of the West Coast. Who wrote this introduction, for Christ's sake? Um, Much of East Africa has a mild tropical climate, further made cool and beautiful by hills. The lower lands are fertile and ideal for the cultivation of such crops as tea, grain, and fruits. There is facility for big game hunting. East Africa being famous for a large variety of game. Perhaps, yeah. This is a new book. I feel like I want to touch on. Have you read any book by Ngugi? Hello, Prasad. Hi, hi. Have you read any book by Ngugi yet? Daniel. I read one book by him. I think is it the one that wrote one thing like there's this book here that he wrote that was about like a man having a soliloquy. I think that was the first place I learned the meaning of soliloquizing, yeah. But I don't remember the name of his book. And I think also this year was when he finally passed, yeah. But this guy is actually very, very famous. I have read one of his works. So I was like, since I've introduced a lot of European, authors and all of that, I was like, let me introduce what to call it, an African author, okay? Like he's a very, very like I think he even has courses in like foreign universities. You get like I think American universities, he taught in that. Genesis. Since I'm speaking English, so I'll just greeting my subscriber that is from Russian, yeah. And also, it's good to be exposed to different languages. If I feel like, you know, it's good to be exposed to different languages, and I don't want to forget the languages I know. Yeah. So where was I? So I'm just reading an introduction by the Ime Kide. That's the name. Notes an introduction by Ime Kide. So. Where was I? Early this century or earlier this. Wait. Okay. Ngugi is also from Kenya. Hello, Arthur. Welcome to the chat. Ngugi is also from Kenya, which is cool because I've been reading a lot about Kenya as a country. I think they're a very wonderful place to like visit and have like a tourist a touristy vacation, I guess. Like I want to visit their national parks, the animals. Like, did you know that Kenya has flamingos? Flamingos. Okay. Yeah. I speak Russian, like not very well, no, not very well, but there was a time in my life I had to learn it, yeah, and I learned it very well. I was okay. I was like basic, yeah, and then I stopped reading it. I stopped learning it, but I still have all of my notes here with me. So now that I'm on live stream and I'm meeting people from different parts of the world, yeah, whenever Russians come onto my stream, I don't want them to feel like I don't know. I just want to connect because it's cool to connect with people from different parts of the world. So let me read the introduction. So this author is from Kenya actually. His name is Ngugi, and I think he grew up in um, pre and post colonial era. I think when the British eventually left their country, and all of that. But anyways, this book is set around that period. So let me just read the introduction first, yeah. Earlier this century, Britain had made Kenya one of her colonies. At first, the number of European settlers was negligible. No, I've not finished. No. The author, he passed recently this year. I've not finished the other book, Daniel. I was just like I was talking about yesterday how Apuleius is like maybe from the North African side, and I've not finished. I was just like, let me introduce this book, and let me like talk about a little bit of the story because the story is actually interesting and fast paced than the other one. But we can always go to the golden donkey, the golden ass like later in the stream you get. I was just saying like let me just introduce an African author, you get, because this is, we're in Africa, yeah. I'm in Africa, yeah. So anyways, I'm reading the introduction here by Imekide. Earlier this century, Britain had made Kenya one of her colonies. At first, the number of European settlers was negligible. Then, after the First World War, the British government had to resettle a large number of disbanded soldiers. And I think these soldiers, I think it will be a depressing book actually. And I feel like this title was taken from a poem by Walt Whitman. Not even think, it is written here in the first page of the book here. That's where the title is taken from. Weep not, child, weep not, my darling. With these kisses, let me remove your tears. The ravening clouds shall not be long victorious. They shall not long possess the sky. This is by Walt Whitman, On the Beach at Night. Yeah. So. And I feel like Ngugi is somebody that I think he focuses more on the aspect of Kenyan history, yeah, that is unpleasant because maybe he grew up during that period. And the introduction will tell us that, yeah. So that's why I'm reading the introduction, so we get an idea of where this book is coming from. I feel. So now the introduction is starting off with how Europeans, like, is normalizing the fact that there are Europeans in Africa and how they preferred East and Central Africa to the West Coast. And because the West Coast had malaria, like, had the malaria like infestation, obviously, yeah. So anyways, Kenya is in East Africa, so that's where he's from. I think that's where the author is from, yeah. And the introduction is letting us get the idea of the British relationship with Kenya at the time. It was not even a relationship, it was more like a colonial connection, yeah. um Here in central Kenya were large tracts of fertile land left wild, land of which the British refused to acknowledge indigenous ownership. Settlers could cut out and farm an indefinite number of acres and turn the original African owners into laborers on low wages. Bonjour, yadi yadi, bonjour. A continuous stream of settlers was now pouring into Kenya, and by the end of the Second World War, it was clear to a large part of the African population that they were little better than slaves on their own soil. So, like, when people talk about settler colonialism here and how it is a problem in the current issue that's going on in Gaza, like, this is just like, this was a part of the history here of nearly all of Africa. You get settler colonialism. Now, it was not about saying we're coming to steal you and take you. It was about them coming to settle down as if this was their home. You get, and it's not like you're coming to somebody, like, acting as if you did not meet people that that were already in the land. You are coming to be, no. The author is Kenyan, I think. The author is Kenyan. This is the introduction note is talking about Kenya and how the British came around and started to practice settler colonialism on their land. They would come, they would buy out the land, and then they would make the owners of the land to be laborers for them, to farm the land, to build the land, to build their houses. And the African population started to feel like they're nothing more than slaves. Do you get? Just then, an historic event took place among the Africans of Kenya. Jomo Kenyatta returned home from Britain in 1946 and became the president of the newly formed Kenya African Union. The aims of the union included to fight for the return of the lost lands, to win independence for Kenya based on majority rule, to abolish the color bar in all public places, like those three things, yeah. So imagine these people coming to the land and now still segregating them from their own spaces, telling them, oh, colored people are not allowed here, white people are supposed to be only here, that kind of thing, yeah. So this Jomo Kenyatta, yeah, he came home from Britain. So which is curious, is like, how did he get like, did the British people send him to study abroad or something like that? Was he told? Anyways, the settlers dismissed Kenyatta as an agitator, but many Africans listened to him. at most meetings in and beyond Kikuyu land. Now, Kikuyu is a tribe in Kenya, and I learned about this. I think it's one of the most popular tribes in Kenya, Kikuyu. So Kenyatta was able to stir the hearts of thousands. The lost lands did not return. There was independence anywhere in sight. Yet Africans were determined to obtain their rights. For many years, among the Kikuyu, whose lands were the most affected, oaths were being taken for solidarity in the struggle to win the lands back. The time had now come to take action, and so violence broke out. There cannot be any change without violence, I think. Hello, Zebra, Eli. Hello, hello. The time had now come to take action, and so violence broke out. This consisted mainly of isolated cases of murder affecting unimportant people until the turning point, 7th October 1952. Why is 7th of October such an auspicious date? Because the last one that happened in, like the last October 7th thing was like what, 2023, the Gaza thing, yeah. Chief Warubiu was one of the most influential of government-paid chiefs who opposed the nationalist cause. Of course, yeah. The thing about, I think one of the main reasons that we have to accept, right. One of the main thing we have to accept, like why a lot of this exploitation and oppression goes on, is because the people that are being oppressed sometimes they cooperate with their oppressors just to be one up over their fellow man. Do you get, like, and it's very plentiful in this country. I'm sure Nigeria has a lot of issues, a lot of history as well, like this divide and conquer. Yeah, Nigeria has a lot of history with that whole behavior where they will cooperate with the British people that are oppressing the land just because they want to be more, like, they want to get more benefits, personal benefits, while turning a blind eye to the suffering of their fellow men. So anyways, this movement that Kenyatta started here, not so, like, it was gaining traction here, but it was not so, like, you know it was not everywhere. Do you get? It was just like unimportant people being killed. Also, this Chief Warubiu, is one of the most influential government paid who opposed the nationalist cause, that's Kenyatta's cause. That day, on October 7th in 1952, he was stopped in his car at Kiambu near Nairobi and shot dead in daylight in the most accomplished American gangster fashion. Why is it described as American gangster fashion? The government was on the verge of panic. On 20th of October, Jomo Kenyatta and a number of his chief followers were arrested. A state of emergency was declared all over Kenya. The militant wing of the nationalist movement took to the forest and went underground, as all rebel causes, do. The Mau Mau had started. The long trial of Kenyatta and his men that followed only made him a hero in the eyes of supporters whose resistance was further hardened when in 1953 Kenyatta was convicted on the insufficient evidence of managing Mau Mau, I assume that's the name of their movement, and sentenced to 7 years hard labor in a remote part of Kenya. For nearly 10 years, Kenya was to live in the grip of terror, the terror of the Mau Mau as well as the terror of the government, as well as the terror of government brutality against suspects and emergency lawbreakers. So you see that there will be suspicion everywhere, paranoia will be rife, and everybody will be scared that, like, the government is hunting people down, on suspicious accusations. And then the Mau Mau too, they can't really, back down from their cause. Do you get? So not ordinary people would also be affected, because if you kind of, as too much on the government side, or kind of like speaking about nationalism, speaking about supporting the government, yeah, speaking about supporting the government, yeah, these Mau people can take you down as well, and then we don't even, in history now, we don't know who killed this Chief Warubiu, yeah. So Ungugi, now this is the author. This is why I feel like some person that mentioned that the book the title sounds depressing. Hello, Ndeme. Someone that mentioned that the title sounds depressing. Well, Ungugi was like a child in these times. And we get to his paragraph. Ungugi was in a day school during part of the emergency. It was not merely the fear of walking to and from school at this time in Kenya, fed with rumors of deaths and detentions, and sometimes shivering at loud reports of machine guns that made up all that Ngugi experienced. In 1954, his elder brother had suddenly disappeared into the forest, and thereafter the government kept up a close watch on his family, placing several of its members, including his mother, under detention. Right. I think it's very interesting. This book here, I think it is worth reading. Like, I think it's worth reading. I think it's worth reading. So his brother went into the forest here. So if his brother is going to the forest, what does that mean? Maybe he joined the rebellion. And since the government is placing a heavy watch on everybody, you get, of course they're going to arrest his family members. Of course they're going to put them, like investigate them deeply, and all of that. So his mother being arrested like for several months, I'm sure that scarred him as a child. So now this person that introducing it to us tells us it is important to grasp this background to the novel in order to understand some of the allusions in it, and above all to be able to appreciate the kind of experience that gave rise to the writing of Weep Not Child. Hello Angeli. Hello Angeli. At the same time, it is worth bearing in mind that the novel is neither an autobiography nor history. It is fiction based on an historical event recreated in human terms. Ngugi was born on 5th January 1938. Hello Abdullah. At Limuru, Central Kenya, the son of a peasant father and a mother who was one of several wives. After school education in Kenya, he entered Makerere University College, Uganda in 1959. Here he did his post-secondary course and then read for a degree in English, graduating in 1964. So he studied English. I shall not go to school again for English and literature. Like I want to study art history and I want to also study English. You get? I want to study those things. Like graduating in 1964. For a few months after his degree, Ngugi worked as a journalist with the Daily Nation in Nairobi, and in October that year, he left for Britain, where he is now studying for a higher degree in the University of Leeds. So, while this book was being published, Ngugi was still in school in Britain at the University of Leeds. Although together, Ngugi has written 3 novels: Weep Not Child, first published in 1962, The River Between, published in 1964, though in fact it was written first, and A Grain of Wheat, which was published in 1997. Yes, I finally found the book. This is the book that I read. This is the book I read. In addition, Ngugi has written a play, The Black Hermit. Everybody read that book in secondary. I think we all had, like, it was recommended textbook for us in primary school. Daniel, I'm going to write my book. I saw one of my favorite YouTuber here, she was posting about the newest cover of like her book coming out, The Black Hermit. Do you remember it? We read it in secondary school, guy. I know it was recommended, like it was a recommended text, either primary school or secondary school. Primary school or secondary school, The Black Hermit. And I don't know if I read it or I took my cousin's copy and read it. My cousin was in secondary school then. Yeah, hey, it's compulsory. The Black Hermit is. Oh my God, this is the book. This is why I'll never forget this man's name, because the book was wild, yeah, and it is a play. Okay, so to the book thing, I'm going to start writing my book. I'm going to start writing my own. But I don't know how, when, or whatever the details of it. I just know I'm going to start writing my book. Like, as I go on this YouTube journey here of live streaming, blah blah blah, I'm going to start something. Like, no matter where you reach, like I'll just present it like that. Yeah. I'm not going to stress about publishing though. I'll just write it and maybe I'll read it to my audience. Hello Tribe Mindset. Hello Shuaib. My name is King. Welcome to the chat. So my cousin was in one government secondary school in our area, yeah? So I think she was living with us at the time, yeah. So I just looked through our textbooks here and I saw The Black Hymn and I started reading and I could not put it down. That was when I was a child, guy. Like, I need to really get back my groove. Like, I'm not really, Also, another thing that is discouraging me now is hello Thai Tisha. Hello Tisha. Hello Tisha. I'm from Nigeria. Hello Rita. Hi hi. Yeah. So what was I saying? The only thing that I want to go out actually and buy Nigerian authors like Chinua Achebe now. The bookstore I went to buy it at, it is considered a new book. Although I buy most of my books from this man here, and it's mostly second-hand books, but Nigerian authors, he buys them like Animal. Oh my god. Should I read Animal Farm again? Oh my, I don't have it, but I will look for it. Thank you very much. Animal Farm was one of the books that my dad literally just went out to the market one day and just said, take. Just gave me. My dad is a reader, yeah. I read all of his books. So that's why I'm a reader. Sri Lanka. Hello, Tisha. Yeah, Animal Farm. The way you feel. Like the instead of Animal Farm, I'm going to look for 1984. It's also by George Orwell, yeah. I'm going to put my eye out for. So, but the thing I want to say about Nigerian authors is that when you buy them from bookstores here, they just consider them like textbooks. So they sell them at like something that second-hand books now I can buy like maybe 500 naira, 1.5. They'll be saying like 2,000 naira, 2.5. I've not read 1984, Daniel. Ah, you're so lucky. I'm going to look for it. I'm not interested in Big Brother, sorry. So what was I saying? My book. So I saw Chinua Achebe, yeah, but I saw Chinua Achebe like the whole like things fall apart here. That copy, it was a new copy. I wanted to buy it. He was not telling me 2.5, and I know it's because it's Chinua Achebe. Like you get a kind of thing. Like he will sell all this like Oyibo books for me like second hand price here, but Nigerian authors, it's expensive. 2.5. I could not buy it that day, but I'm going to put my eye there. If I want to buy books, if I want to buy Nigerian authors, I'll just make up my mind to buy like I don't make up my mind I'm going to spend big money. You get that kind of thing, yeah. Unless I go to all these school bookshops, I don't think bookshops even have Nigerian. They sell all this nonsense, and it's not nonsense, because reading is valued no matter what you are reading here. But it's not my type of books. Yeah. I don't think if you go to a bookshop now, you want to start buying like recommended books for school that are like Chinua Achebe, this guy, Buchi Emecheta, all those authors you get, it will be very costly. You get, so I don't know. I'm just hoping I'll see more options when I go to the man shop next time. Let me continue. Continue. The Black Hermit. Um, this Black Hermit play was performed it was performed by Makerere students in 1962 to celebrate Uganda's independence. His short stories have appeared in several collections of African writing as well as in a number of university magazines in Kampala and Leeds. Few writers anywhere have so successfully combined creative writing with full-time university courses. Fewer still can boast of a novel that has won an international prize. With No Child won a first prize at the first Negro Arts Festival held in Dakar in April 1966. So I guess Dakar is also the center of like academia here and learning. Most African countries, are very serious about literature, and I think if we're talking about poetry, I can also keep my eye out for African poetry, African poets, yeah. I'll keep my eye out for that. Now, continuing about the book, Weep Not Child is divided into two parts. The first deals with the period just before the emergency, and the second with the emergency itself in the life of a Kenyan family. Thus, in part one, The Waning Light, we see a growing dissatisfaction over the lost land develop in a protest expressed in the general strike. With the failure of the strike and the arrest of Jomo, the light goes out, and in part two, darkness falls, swallowing up the whole community in violence and involving Ngoto's family in tragedy. I think that is his father's name or something, his mother's name. Many freedom fighters among the Kikuya had fought for Britain in the Second World War. Tales of Hitler and the war are still circulating, and people go to the barber shop in Kipanga to pick up the most exotic of them. Yeah, Chimamanda is very cool. Chimamanda, I think it's Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda. Have you read Purple Hibiscus? I read Purple Hibiscus like so many years ago, and I didn't even know who she was. Yeah, that was when I was very small. So that was before she became this name everywhere. Yeah. But her writing style is actually very awesome. Um, 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 um. But with all its light-hearted talk, Kipanga itself well represents the rift between the races of people in Kenya. I don't know about races though. Then we are shown the relationship between the rich and the poor. Thank God, because I want to. I think one beautiful thing about African authors is the fact that there is this awareness of how generally the mass populace in most African countries don't have class consciousness. You get, and I don't know. I feel like we need to develop that in this country, especially. But let's keep going. Ngoto sports on Jacob's land with his family of 2 wives and several children. So Ngoto is his father's name. Thank God I did not what? What did I say? Thank God I did not what? I don't remember what did I say. Ngoto squats on Jacob's land with his family of 2 wives and several children. Only rich Africans like Jacobo can afford to buy and own land. So Jacobo is an African and he's able to buy land. Then he hires his fellow African men to be laborers on the land. Let's keep going. For a living, Ngoto has to work for Mr. Howland on a farm that is actually his own ancestral land acquired by the European settler. Now, this thing is even putting into relief the whole, Israeli Gaza situation. When you talk about settler colonialism, like you might not really, like, I don't think I fully grasp it. I had an idea, but I don't think I fully grasp. I think with this book, I'll be able to fully grasp what is going on, what they mean by that, and how these people came to occupy all of those lands. Yeah, land is therefore the big issue leading to the crisis in this novel. It is interesting to compare the way Howlands and Ngoto look at the same piece of land. Mr. Howlands has forsaken everything, including his country and family, to cultivate the wild land he has conquered. Good afternoon, Brighton. Good afternoon, good afternoon. It is the only thing in the world that matters to him now. He likes Ngoto because of the way, in quotes, because of the way the old man touched the soil, almost fondling, and the way he tended the young plants as if they were his own. Guy, that is his land. Of course, he's going to be gentle with it. In fact, in a way, they are his own exactly. For Ngoto regards this land as his birthright and works efficiently on it as a duty towards his ancestor. Notice the irony in the situation and the fact that the writer is sympathetic towards both men. Okay? I'm fine. No, this side is okay. Thank you for being here. How is your side? Where are you from? This is Nigeria. After the attempted strike, Ngoto loses not only his job on Howland's farm but also the right to live on Jacobo's land. This loss means greater misery to his family as his part in the strike meeting directs the forces of the emergency against him and drives him to make a false confession of murder. What? Resulting in his torture and death. Okay, so we are going to shed tears in this book. Just prepare for that. Oh, Namibia, welcome, 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 welcome. Your flag is so lovely. I love this shade of blue. I don't think I've had anybody from Namibia. This is Nigeria. Welcome, welcome. My name is King. The novel emphasizes the evil of war. Mr. Howland's hatred of his own country and strange attachment to Kenyan lands are a result of his disillusionment with the First World War, in which he had fought and suffered. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Ngoto too had served in the same war, and when he came back, his ancestral lands had gone. Both have only recently lost their sons in the Second World War. Yeah, welcome, Brighton, you're welcome. Then there is Boro. Everyone in the family can notice how the war has changed him. To him, nothing can be enough consolation after losing his brother in a war between the whites. Boro has lost other things to the war. His roots in the tribe, he does not know the legend of the tribes, all opportunity for employment, as well as the mere land to settle on. Indeed, Boro's bitterness against the white settlers spring from this now. Quote, we fought for them. We fought to save them from the hands of their white brothers. Why then should the elders of the tribe watch their land taken away and not fight? End quote. Boro's contempt for his father helps to incite. So Boro is the son of Ngoto. Boro's contempt for his father helps to incite Ngoto to his first show of manliness, that of attacking Jacobo and thus inviting the forces that finally crush him. Let us now look at Njoroge, the hero of the novel, and the boy through whose eyes we see a lot of what goes on in the book. Njoroge's interest in education is shown early in the way he welcomes his mother's news that he is to go to school. Once in school, he is all diligence. His belief in education is strengthened by the tribal legend regarding the lost lands. Would learning the white man's wisdom not be the surest way of winning back what the white man had taken? I don't think so. From this point, Ondoroge begins to see himself as the person God has chosen to save his people. Thus, he is easily inspired by the story of Moses and other Bible heroes. Not Jesus, not God, not religion, not Christianity now. The difficulty his family is thrown into only enkindles his passion for education as the only means of freeing them. Everybody knows that story. Like all of us here, I don't think any Nigerian, you know, does did not grow up with this belief that education is the only way out of struggles, out of this whole horror show we find ourselves, called the country. Yeah, everybody has told us from small that education is the way. So Njoroge is relatable in that aspect. Also him being an African, of course, of course. Anyways, it only enkindles his passion for education as the only means of freeing them from poverty and bondage. The arrest of Jomo and the outbreak of violence depressed him considerably, but his hope hangs on the future. Njoroge is a sensitive child, not used to expressing strong feelings in words. His regard for other people's feelings is exemplified by his relationship with his mother and Muihaki. He is upset if he ever does anything to hurt his mother, while so overpowering is his sympathy for Mihaki. Right. I should start a book club here. I don't know how to do that. I thought maybe, reading books on YouTube, and getting subscribers, people interested in books, I'll be able to do that. But I don't know, like I don't really have a lot of traffic to my channel, and in real life, I don't have friends around me there. Most of my friends are in different countries. So, yeah, book club sounds like a wonderful idea, and I would love to have a book club, but I don't know. I think I might not be able to do that right now. I don't know. Like, I don't know. If you have a way of doing it here, I would um, accept suggestions. Preface of what? Preface of this book. There is no preface. This is just introduction notes by Inekide. Yeah. While so overpowering is his sympathy for Mihaki over the death of her father that he begins to imagine he is responsible for her unhappiness. At school, Njoroge is embarrassed by the teacher's reproof. He feels the pain of beating received by another boy as if it was being communicated to him without physical contact. Above all, Njoroge is touched when the harmony in his family gives way. But with all his noble intentions and concerns for others, Njoroge is a dreamer, a visionary who consoled himself faced by the difficulty of the moment. Yeah, right? Njoroge. That's the main character of our book. So maybe you've read it at some point. Maybe you don't just remember the title of the book. He's a dreamer, a visionary who consoled himself faced by the difficulty of the moment by a look at a better day to come. In the end, he finds out by experience Oh no, oh no. He found out by experience that the real world was more cruel and more unjust than his dream world. That while one hoped for the future, one also had to face the problem of the present. What were you saying about present? Being in the present. In learning this, Njoroge, now saved from hanging himself, runs home and opens the door for his two mothers, an act of acceptance and a demonstration of responsibility, a maturity beyond childhood dreams. In a way, Weep Not Child is about the growing up of Njoroge, the hopes, disappointment, and suffering of a whole people growing under the tensions of an emergency as shown in Njoroge's experiences. As such, the author describes the incidents of the story as a young boy saw and felt them, with all the simplicity and directness of youth. There are very few unfamiliar words in the novel. Most of the sentences are short and simple, but remarkably powerful in their combined effects. Look at this, for example, a quote now. There was a man in India, this is a quote from the book. There was a man in India called Gandhi. This man was a strange prophet. He always fought for the Indian freedom. He was a thin man and always dressed poorly in calico stretched over his bony body. Many descriptions in this end quote, many descriptions in this novel are straightforward as that. And if you have read the Bible, you will realize how similar is the language here to the language of the authorized version of the Bible. There is the same kind of purity and unadorned beauty. You may find Weep Not Child a little different from many novels you are familiar with, where you can easily pick out and describe full-length incidents in the plot. Ngugi's method does not encourage such an exercise. He's often trying within a short space to show what is happening to different people at different places. Thus, in the same chapter, he can switch abruptly from one incident to another without warning. But he is careful to bring all the loose ends in the plot into one tight and tidy whole. Where he switches rather fast, as in chapter 1, the incidents merge into each other and can hardly stand on their own. In chapter 10, the three incidents, Jacobo's secret visit to Howland, the arrest of Njeri and Corey, and the mysterious letter in Njoroge's school are more distinguishable but short and make a greater impression if taken together as different scenes of one picture in the emergency. Perhaps in the end, it will not be separate incidents that strike one in this novel, but the whole picture of hope, disappointment, and suffering, and the way the writer engages our feelings for the people involved. So I think that was a very beautiful introductory, um, beautiful introduction to the book by Imekide. So I think I'm going to be reading this alongside um, the Golden Ass, so that we can like, it will be interesting in that sense. Hello, Lami. Hi. Welcome to the chat. Hello, Lami. Like, I don't know. I don't know. The thing that will help me to cope with Amir's story is the fact that I don't know. I think when I followed the author on Instagram, I felt a kind of peace. Like, oh, this is a real person. Yeah, this is a real person, and the book is fictional. You get, and I can release Amir to continue living his life with Surab. No. I'm not really a football person. Hello, Sam. Hello, Sam. Hi. So I'm introducing this book. The African author in question is a Kenyan writer, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. I think it's also interesting. Like, um, he passed away earlier this year, like just passed away earlier this year, which is like I don't know. It was sad. This book, I don't know. This book is not going to have that cathartic, happy ending that you or me self that I'm hoping for. And I feel like it is a tell on me as well. Like, why do I, pick books like this? When I pick books, yeah, I pick them based off of my instinct. I don't pick them based off of Like it's just instinct, like instinctual. I just see a book and I feel, I'm going to enjoy this book when I read the synopsis. And I like books that don't have very descriptive synopsis. I like books that are mysterious, books that don't, tell you what is going to happen in the, like, I like books that have synopsis that never tell you what is going to happen in the story. Just like just few characters and a little bit of a hint of the main plot of the story. Yeah, so this is the book I'm going to be reading while I'm reading our usual golden ass. This is the book I'm going to be reading. This is the book I'm going to be reading. I'm reading the golden ass here, and I'll be reading Ngugi as well. So we're going to have a mix of authors here, not just but let me not give too much, let me not push these Apuleius to the far end of the thing, because Apuleius actually is from a North African side of the world. Like, I don't think they were very divided into countries where like they are now, yeah, when he was alive. Or he was born, of a North African. He had a North African descent. So they are both African, I guess. They're both African authors were juggling here. And then when I was traveling in Nigeria, like I had this whole moment in my life here, early this year, where I was traveling around, and so there are certain books I took with me, on my journey, but I didn't finish all of them. It's these books, this set of books, and I read this one. This one is Revolutionary Road. I don't know if you've seen this book before. It was made by Richard Yates. It was made into a movie, and the main character, the man in this book, it was played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, and I finished this book, and I have like so many notes, so many like highlighted pages of it. And I don't know, I just thought of it today. I'm like, wait, I can actually talk about this story as well. But I've completed this book here. So this one is about, it's also like sad ending. It's also sad ending. There's no happiness to be found in this book. I don't know what that says about me, but yeah, there's no happiness to be found in this book. There's no real colonial playbook. There's no real happiness to be found in this book. I don't understand. What are you referring to, Daniel? Colonial. Are you talking about something in Ngugi stuff? So anyways, Revolutionary Road is it has been made into a movie. I have not seen the movie yet, so I think maybe one of these days I will watch the movie. But I don't want it to dampen my enjoyment of the book or my memory of the book. Yeah, so maybe I'll talk about it. Then this other book that I need you to know about, William Faulkner. I have tried to make a YouTube video about this book to know, like, it just did not work out because I was just getting pissed and angry. And it was not the story that annoyed me so much as this author. Like, if you read up this man's what to say, Wikipedia, or like just information about this man, you just find that he's a very controversial character, and especially when it comes to his writing. This man will make your brain, like, it will be as if you don't know how to read before if you read this guy's works. And when I saw this book, I was like, this name sounds popular, sounds familiar. I've heard it in, conversations about classical American authors, yeah. And I was like, let me just have one classic American author, yeah. And I just suffered. Like, the story is not even something that there is any talking about Amir in the dark tunnel. This one, you're in hell. In this book, you're in hell. The Sound and the Fury, and I've not completed it yet because the writing style is so complex, and I feel like people that studied writing, English, all of that. Hello, Unruly, welcome to the chat. My name is King. People that studied writing in schools, that studied literature and all of that, will probably have a sort of technique, yeah, to understanding writers like this. I don't have that technique. I'm a layman and I've struggled. Hello, Nikki. Welcome to the chat. Of course, I remember you. Hi, welcome, welcome. How was school today? Are you back from school already? Yeah. So, I feel like I can continue this book as well, just somewhere in the periphery of my brain, so that in case I finish it before all of these ones, yeah, I would also talk about it. So, anyways, my actual nemesis, William Faulkner, like this man is my nemesis. This man made me feel as if, I don't know how to read, and I had to start rereading pages like 4 times, 5 times before I could get what he was trying to say. And I still didn't, it wasn't even close. Anyways, let's just leave that. Now, this is a typical novel, yeah, because it has the most, how to say this without being disrespectful. It has the most, what do you call, ordinary, you know, writing setup, yeah. This is about a lady named Daisy that finds out that she has a mother, and her mother has had her as a teen, so it was a she was a teen pregnancy, and I don't know, she has to go back to find out more about her mother because there's vital information that is needed for her to move forward with her life. You get that kind of thing, like when when a woman goes on this self I use lip gloss day. My lip gloss is not here, but it's just an ordinary cheap lip gloss. Thank you, Tay. Thank you for the compliments. Everybody, please subscribe to the channel. Okay, it means a lot. Support the channel by subscribing and liking the chat. So Deki Buchan, Daisy Buchan is also like she's interesting here, but compared to all of this massive like strange world we are living in, I think this is going to have a fairly happy ending. Yeah, I hope. I've not gotten to the end of it, and I started reading it like last year. I'm still on page 99. How interesting is that? Out of how many pages? What? Out of 409 pages. I have a long way to go. I'm just in page 99. How? Oh, so I think that's also what's very stressful about this book, because another thing about books like this is that there's a lot of, when you're reading somebody's history and you see like things that you read things that happen to them, that you can literally see the cost of their suffering, and you wish they were able to escape from this suffering, and you see that that suffering is caused by people that are very close to them, I mean family, and them being a little too trusting, and you're like angry on their behalf, and you're hot on their behalf, so I feel like this book is going to make me feel a lot of that, and it's going to stress me out. I think that's why I've been very, to say the truth here, I've been very like cowardly facing this book. I feel like a coward because I'm scared to process all those kind of painful emotions for this character, and I don't know. I feel very cowardly, like hiding, not wanting to read the book. Like with the push I get from my my from you guys, like from my subscribers here, and wonderful people like Daniel, it would be cool. Like I think I'll be able to brave that world of Daisy. And there's this whole book I got when I was looking for a poem collection to have for myself. I saw this textbook, Poems to Enjoy, and it's kind of very rudimentary, but it's also, I'm an absolute layman when it comes to poem and poetry, so I appreciate any study guide. So it feels like a study guide where they would write out a poem from a popular collection or a popular poet, and then they'll now give us questionnaires, or they'll give you questionnaires on what to look out for. If you are able to answer the question, it kind of cuts clearer, it cuts a clearer picture of what this poet is trying to say, or what the poem is speaking about, or who the poem is for, or where the poem is coming from, all of that background of the poem here. And I think I tried to, like, I was doing some, like, a few when I first got it here, like last year. I was very um a bit serious about, not so serious there, I was a bit serious about getting through this book, yeah, but it was painful because I didn't know a lot of the answers, and it felt like I needed to rack my brains a lot, and that is very painful. That was very painful for me to do. Like it was hard work basically, and I was like, do I want to do this here? But now that I have an actual poetry collection and I see how very like intense poems, I feel like okay, maybe I should try opening this textbook again. So I brought it out for my box. I don't know if I'm the only one, but whenever I come back from a trip, it's very hard for me to unpack. I don't know why. And I'll normally like I'll chalk it up to laziness here, but I don't think it's laziness. I think it's just this mental frame of mind where like nowhere is really permanent here. You are just in one place for some time. Like I don't know. I feel I've always felt like I was on the move. Yeah. Okay, that is a funny one. So sick. I actually like the X-Men movies though. I enjoyed watching them, when they were coming out back then, but I'm not keeping up with them right now. So I want to look at this particular book I'm at. Okay, I hope I can answer your question. Go ahead. I think that go ahead with your question. So sick. So right now I'm on page 130 something, 136, I think. 136, and I'm supposed to get to 200 and what? It's not far away. Oh, thank you. So sick. I don't know the answer to that question, but um, yeah, I'll accept that as a compliment. Yeah. Thank you. I guess you could say maybe my parents. That's why. Um. So where I'm at in the story, this like Apuleius here, where I'm at is like okay. Since we've read a little bit of this author here, this African author, so I was thinking like we wanted to narrate this book here. I didn't want to jump any part, like I didn't want to miss out any part. So I was like, let me just start from the beginning. Like not that I'll read it out, I'll just tell you, where um I'll begin where like I'll start telling you all the convoluted parts of the story, yeah? So that it won't be as if I'm narrating one thing, yes. So that like you get how, like I said, convoluted this book actually is. So the book starts with this title, Book the First. So like if you read the preface of this book, it talks about read the preface of this book, it talks about how this entire story is just a compendium of different stories, different tales, yeah, and you're supposed to read all of them together, like for let me see what he said. You're supposed to read all of them together, yeah, not as one book, but as different stories. So that makes sense because I was like, why is everybody going off on a tangent here, But like, no, that's the intention of the author, yeah. That's the intention of the author. So our main character is going to Thessaly. There's a place called Thessaly, yeah, and on his way to Thessaly, he meets two men arguing on the road, and they are so like deep in their arguments that when they see him, when people are arguing and they need a second, like a third voice to like be the voice of reason and settle the quarrel, yeah, they chance upon this our main character Lucius, and they start to tell him all of the things that they've been through, And the other one is saying, don't tell him, he will not believe you, you are lying, all of that. And they're like, no, 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 let me tell him first. So Lucius is listening to these two random men arguing on the road here. So they begin to tell him the story. So now the one that has this fantastical story here that the other one is refusing to believe here is the one that is narrating this journey for us. So this man, this storyteller is telling us, we are now reading his story, and it's called The Tale of Aristomenes. Yeah. So Aristomenes is the name of the guy, the traveler. And Aristomenes is going along, he's traveling as well from one city to the other for business. You understand? So while going on business, he meets an old friend, I think. This old friend, was very rich and thriving the last time they saw, but now this friend is poor and in rags because of the woman that he married. The woman he married, gave him so much bad luck, you know and so and also this Aristomenes already warned this friend not to be with this woman, that she's bad luck and all that, but he did not listen to him. But anyway, when he sees his friend, he pities his friend, and he takes his friend to the city. He spends money on the friend, getting a bath, being showered, all of that, and he's okay. So at night, he takes his friend to an inn. You get, after eating at the tavern, they now go to the inn to sleep for the night. But in the night, something happens to these two people. His friend remains in a deep slumber while he, the storyteller Aristomenes, he's awakened, because there is a sudden violent shaking at the window, at the doors, at the roof, and the door is like, the door is flung against the wall, and everything is like knocked over topsy-turvy, and he's scared. He's like, oh, an earthquake is coming and this is my end, you know but what happens is that then into the room comes in two women of advanced age. They are old women. I wouldn't know, because I've not really experienced Freddie Mercury, so I don't know about his work, his music, nothing really. But Michael Jackson I know, and I love Michael Jackson, so I can't say who is better, so that'll be a biased conversation. So these two women, like I was talking about in the story, these two women, they are old women, they are naked, or what? No, they're not naked. Okay. They come into the room with a lantern, a sponge, and a sword. And the name of the old man, Aristomenes tell us, is that's his old friend. His name is Socrates. Yeah, so that's the name of his friend. So Socrates is still sleeping peacefully while all this chaos is happening. Meanwhile, Aristomenes is watching the whole thing with like wide eyes and all of that. So this old one woman now speaks first. She says, look at him, Sister Panther. Look at my beloved Endymion, my sweet catamite, whatever. So she's complaining about the man, basically. She doesn't, I think she wants to punish him for leaving her. You get. So she's complaining about the man. So it's like this old man left her eventually because of all the suffering he experienced with her. So she came with her fellow witch, I guess, to punish him. And she now notices Aristomenes, our storyteller, hiding under the bed. And she tells her sister that, oh, I will punish this fellow too, because he's the one that advised my dearest to leave me, something like that, something along those lines. Yeah. Anyways, the sister now says, why not rip him? You get to shreds. Ew. Like, they are describing how very graphic they would, like the things they would do to this her love, Socrates. Yeah. Then Mero, who is actually the woman, that's the name of the woman. Panthea is her sister. The wife figure is Mero. Yeah. Um. She now said, no, she will not kill the companion. She will not kill Aristomenes. Instead, she would kill the husband that ran away from her. And so she laid Socrates' head over one side and drove the sword into the left part of his throat up to the hilt, and cut the spout of blood in a leathern bottle, which she held ready so carefully that not a single drop was left visible. And more, I saw Meru, that is the woman killing this Socrates now. Um, she crossed her hand down through the wound into his very entrails, you know, and after groping about, finally wrenched out the heart of, Socrates. And he, with his gullet slit by the impact of a blade, uttered a cry through the wound and bubbled out his ghost. So Socrates is effectively dead. Then her sister stopped the big wound in his throat with a sponge and cried, "Beware, O sponge born of the salt sea, beware that you pass not through a running stream." I think this is how they're able to, you know, commit this atrocity in the room with like, and nobody was the more aware of it, yeah. So after doing all of that, they flew away from the room. Now the corpse of Socrates, the dead body of Socrates, is in the room, left alone with the room with his friend Aristomenes. And Aristomenes starts to panic. He starts to cry, and wets himself, and he's like, oh my god, like, everybody, if I raise an alarm now and tell people what has happened to my friend, they will not believe that anybody else did that. I was the only one. Nobody left this room all through the night, and nobody came in through this room, through this door. So I'll be the only suspect here. And he was like, what would he do? What would he do with the body? And he begins to like think about it over and over and over. So he says he's going to leave before morning comes, because then if he leaves before morning comes, at least people will not check the room until daylight, yeah? And so they can worry about the body left behind themselves. He would have been long gone. But when he tells the innkeeper that, oh, I want to leave this house before, like, I want to leave this house at this dead of the night, the innkeeper says, no, don't you know that there are robbers on the road? Like, I will not let somebody go out in danger. Don't worry, I'll open the door for you at daybreak. Yeah. So now Aristobulus is stuck, panicking with his friend that's dead and gutted in the room, and he has no way out. So there he begins to panic, and then eventually he falls. He manages to fall asleep. Yeah. And so when he woke up in the morning, yeah, when he woke up in the morning, he the innkeeper came to open the door for him, and when he looked around, he saw that his friend Socrates was alive and well, standing around, normal, and all of that and all of that. And he's like, what happened? Did I dream that? But he's like, no, I did not dream it, because everything in the room is upside down, like there's signs of destruction in the room. So why is my friend like alive and well? You understand? And the innkeeper is like, maybe you got drunk and in a rage and you scattered the room, like you have to pay for this destruction. Yeah. So he pays, like, and both of them leave the room, leave the inn, yeah. So when they leave the inn now, they keep walking along the road as if, okay, finally, I came to save my friend and I'm taking my friend back to our town, we are going to be okay and all of. But then the friend's not like, oh, I'm hungry, oh, you get, I'm hungry. And then the friend ate, you know, breakfast properly, very well, enjoyed it. And then his friend was not like, they now left the inn and they were walking, on the road back. So as they were walking on the road back, like they now saw a spring, like a stream on the side of the forest or whatever. And he said, oh, I want to drink water. That's Socrates. Socrates told his companion Aristomenes, oh, I want to drink water. And he's like, oh, come here and drink your fill of this spring water. So this Socrates, he kneels on the banks of this river, and he bends to take a sip of water. Yeah. And the narration goes to tell us, but he had no sooner touched the dewy sparkle of the water when the tips so he had no sooner touched the dewy sparkle of the water with the tips of his lips, when the wound in his throat gaped open wide, and the sponge suddenly drank out a little gush of blood accompanying it. And now his body, void of life, would have collapsed into the stream had I not gripped him by the leg and dragged him with difficulty higher up the bank. So basically, the guy was still dead. Like he felt, it seems like he was reanimated. Yeah, he was just an animated corpse walking about, but um a unlike the way we see it here in some movies where but the person is lifeless, but they are walking around. This one, he was carrying out, he was doing normal things. Yeah, he was talking to people, he was eating, but then immediately he tried to drink water, all of the blood in his neck, came out, and he died. And then his friend had to drag him away from the river's bank and bury him in the forest, and then ran away from his country, abandoned his home, and exiled himself to Etolia, where he married again. So that is the end of Aristophanes' tale, that he was trying to tell Lucius, our main character here. And his friend, his companion, he was arguing because the companion did not believe it. It's kind of like, that's not real. How can somebody die and you know wake up, and not just die? How can somebody be like gutted by a sword and still wake up totally fine the next morning, and then when he wants to drink water by the stream, he dies again? Like, it's unbelievable, yeah. And they was arguing that it happened, yeah. And so when they met Lucius was like, you know what, I believe you. I believe you. Like, it doesn't matter, like, there cannot be any real proof of what happens to anybody. So I believe that it is a possibility that, something like that happened to you. You get, and that is Lucius' whole journey. It does not. I don't think he contributes to any part of the story. Maybe it will later in the story. I don't know. I'm not seeing any sign of it. Like, so far, 100 and something pages in, I've not seen any sign of the story connecting to anything. But I feel like it's just like, as Lucius is on his own personal journey to Thessaly, we are also on the journey with him. And a person that is traveling by foot, the way travel was possible in those days, where you travel from country to country, by crossing the borders literally, and walking on foot. You can meet different characters on the road. You meet different experiences, you experience different things, in such a situation. So I feel like the writer is trying to make us also experience the same things with Lucius as well. Hello, Tyrus. Good morning. Thank you, Tess. Thank you, Tess. Hello, Tyrus. Welcome to the chat. So I'm narrating this book, The Golden Ass. Yeah, I'm talking about the different, like, I've not completed the book yet, yeah, but I'm talking about, I'm narrating up to the point where I stopped here, my reading. And so we just finished one tale in the story. Yeah, this kind of convoluted books where you have to just keep reading, and you cannot look at it in the traditional sense of the book, where you think one thing is leading to another. You have to just trust the writer that is taking you somewhere, no matter what. Yeah, the writer is taking you somewhere. You don't know where you're going, but he's holding you by the hand and he's just taking you. So you have to keep going. Like, he's leading you. So you just have to keep following. So, like, most of the stories we encounter, like, in this book, they're not taking us, like, he's not telling us anything about the main character. The main character is not the point of the story. The story is the point of the story. So anyways, so Lucius, interacts with them, and then finally, he leaves them behind and he keeps going on his journey to Thessaly. So when he gets to Thessaly, he hears a kind of gist about his host, that his host is a miser, and his host is very famous for being a miser. you know the name of his host is Milo. So his host is very famous for being a miser, but he's not bothered because there's something he's looking for in Milo's house. You get. And so he gets to Milo's house and he meets the maid. The name of the maid is Fortis. Yeah. And Fortis is like, I don't know you. Why are you at the door? You get. And he keeps on insisting. So they have this, like, back and forth. And we have to go through the whole argument with these two people, where they don't want to, neither one wants to budge. You get. He's like, he's like, a girl appeared at the door when he knocked. And she's like, why have you been drumming our door in such a frenzy? She's angry about it. Oh, thank you. That's how the weather is here too. Like, just out of nowhere, rain just starts. I think we're in that season. Hello, Belisarius. Hi, welcome to the chat. So I'm reading this book finally for everybody on the chat. I wonder if you are interested. And I checked out that thing especially that information you told me, Billy Cyrus. I checked it out. It was true. Like it's true. He was like prosecuted, but he defended himself so well in court that the defense is compiled in a book called Apologia, and I want to read that book. Yeah, but as for the witchcraft thing, it feels like it was just like rumors that people had around about him and his existence, yeah. But like, and also there was this hint of jealousy I kind of picked up in the storytelling where the people that spread the rumors about him being an occult guy is just the brothers of the woman he married, and because this woman has so much wealth, it was not going to reach her brothers if she got married. So they thought maybe they just spread rumor that she must have been possessed by a spell or something, and it's the man Apuleius fault, yeah. And hello Phil, thank you for so nice a sentence, like a message. I won't worry. Every little thing is going to thank you, thank you, thank you. So. I think, yeah. And also this book is the second name for this book is what Metamorphosis. So yeah, I read up on that information barely. Yeah, he was rumored to put a spell on his wife. Right. Interesting, Sha. I didn't know this. I didn't know anything about. And also, he has a North African descent, according to him. So, like, he's Egyptian. Some part of him is Egyptian. Like, one of his parents was Egyptian. Yeah. So he's from my side of the world, North Africa. Africa is still. I don't know. Like, let's not get into that debate. Let's just leave it where it is. But anyways, interesting information. I'm so glad you shared that with me. It just made the book like 100 times more interesting. Yeah. And also, I like my subscribers, like other people wanted to, wanted me to read the book. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm not reading the book per se. I'm just like narrating the stories that we come across in the book, because this book is a compendium of tales, or it's a compendium of tales, so it's like you're just going on a journey with the writer, and wherever you end up, good luck. There's no, I don't feel there's going to be a real end to this book. The only thing I think is going to happen is like maybe our main character will now no longer be a donkey, you know but like aside that, everything else that happened in the book is not, whatever, like storytelling, like, sorry, going somewhere with the plot. Hello Savas, hi, welcome to the chat. Yeah. So well, like, so he gets his host house. His host name is Milo, yeah. And Milo is very popular in the city for being a miser, So he gets to the house and he knocks on the door. And I think in those days you can't just show up at people's houses, you need to have, especially someone that is very wealthy or something. You need to have some kind of introduction. Thank you for the compliment, Savas. He used to have an introduction like letter, which he has, and the maid asked him for, and he's like, "Tell your master I have a letter of introduction from the mayors of Corinth." So you see how old, the story world is. And then after a while, she came back and opened the door so that he can enter. And then when he goes inside, he sees the man, you know, lying on a very scanty couch, and his wife is seated at his feet. Thank you, Darius. I hope work is going fine for you. Today is Thursday. I hope today is another wonderful day at your job. Um. Anyways. When he meets the man says he's glad to meet such a worthy guest, from Demias, his professor. Like, I think he knows, how am I saying professor? Because Tyrus said professor, not professor. Or he knows Demias is his friend. Milo knows Demias, yeah. And so that is the connection you get for both of them. So Milo is such a poor, like, he's such a miser that he doesn't buy like furniture for his house. He has only one like couch, and the couch is very in poor shape, while his wife has to sit on the floor beside him. You understand? That's how like miserly he is. But they can guess. He says that Lucius looks like a gentleman. Like, in those days, like, when you say someone's a gentleman, that means he's born from, I don't know, noble. He has noble birth, right? So that's what Lucius looks like. So So anyways, when he points out, no, thank you, Savior Savas, I'll just take that as a compliment. No, not interested. M. So he is he's Lucius' host, yeah. So he has to give Lucius a bed, a place to stay, and a meal, yeah. So he now gives Lucius this very tiny room in his house with this very small bed, but Lucius does not mind. Lucius does not mind. Um, I think his wife's name is, I don't see his wife's name yet, but the servant girl is named Fortis, and it's important for us to know the servant girl's name, yeah, because she ends up playing an important role for Lucius in this house, yeah. Anyways, in the house, like I said, Milo is very poor, so he does not want them to spend um to use the water in his house. He tells um Lucius to go to the public bath and then buys, because if you go to the public bath, definitely you're going to eat something outside. They will not really prepare a meal for you in the house. Nobody's going to like treat you excessively well in the house, because there is no money to spend. Like Milo refuses to release money to spend. Anyways, who cares? Lucius did not come here for that. Lucius came here for another reason. Um, so Lucius goes to the bath, he has a bath, and then he meets somebody else, you know, he meets a friend called E.Ts. And Peter's is like taking care of him, and then we now start going on the tangent of Peter's life. Peter's life is a market inspector, and he sees like I said, Milo does not want to spend money on a meal for Lucius, so Lucius has to buy his own provisions, yeah, his own food stuff. So he goes to the market to buy food stuff, and he meets a friend, Patas, and Patas is now this market inspector. So Pattaya now sees that this guy Lucius has already bought some fish, to eat for dinner and all of that. But when he saw the fish, he's like, how much did they sell this fish for you? And he says the price of the fish. And this Pattaya gets angry. He's like, why? Why would they sell it at this price for you? Who sold it for you? He goes to meet the old man. And the way Lucius describes the old man, he's like, the old man is already poor. Lucius can afford it, yeah, but Pattaya has a problem with it, because he's like, no, this is theft, this is thievery. And instead of allowing Lucius to hold on to his meal, or at least give him another thing, this man throws the food to the ground. This Pattaya, he throws the food to the ground, and he's like, this is rubbish, I will take you to the magistrate, you'll be judged for stealing, for theft and all of that, all of that. And then when he punishes the old man, he now tells Lucius that, I am satisfied, that is enough reproof for the old scoundrel. Lucius now says he's speechless and flabbergasted, and he sure goes to the bath. He goes to bath. Now he doesn't have food and he doesn't have money, and this Pattaya was so sure that he was doing a good thing for him. But this guy goes home, there's no food at home because everybody has already eaten, and Milo said they did not prepare for any guests. So anyways, he goes to bed, he's tired, after all the old journey and the old drama, he goes to bed. He's tired and he sleeps with hunger, you know now the next chapter is called, he calls, like, whenever he's in a section of narration, the author, he names it as book the first, book the second, and then when he gets into another, like, arc, let's just call it arcs, yeah, he will name it again book the first, book the second, because it's different tales. So this is the tale of, I think, Lucius, yeah. So Lucius's tale, book the second, maybe chapter 2, yeah. So chapter 2, Lucius wakes up, and he's reflecting that he's located in the very heart of Thessaly, which is universally acclaimed as the crucible of the art of magic. Yeah, he was so agog with desire and zeal. He savored every detail with gleeful curiosity. So he was taking a walk down the street, seeing different things happening in the city and all of that. And it was just like, I think he was just looking for mostly signs of magic, of the occult, of witchcraft here in this city of Thessaly. Anyway, he now meets somebody that knew his mother. Lucius is noble birth, so he meets this lady, and she's also a noble woman. And something about Lucius too that is like a big indicator of his noble birth is his blonde hair. I don't know why, but apparently maybe blonde hair, belonged to people that were of noble birth and all of that. Yeah, noble breeding is the word. So, and this woman he meets, her name is Barhena, and she was so happy to see him. She's like, I know your mother is Salvia, and I want you to be my guest, come to my house, visit me. And she's calling him cousin. So I don't know, maybe she's older than him, but she's still his cousin, yeah. And she's like, come, I will treat you to the best. Whatever, your host Milo is such a cheap man. You don't even need to stay with him. Just move into my house. And Lucius like, no, 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 I'll stay with Milo. So they go to Hena's house, and we have this long-winded description of her home, the decorations, all the the pillars that are in ivory, the decorations in gold, the flower, the massive flower gardens, and how beautiful everything is. Like just money. But while he's taking this tour around her home, she's not telling him, my dearest Lucius, by the goddess beside us, I fear deeply for your safety, and I wish to put you on guard as if you were my child of my own womb. Beware, I tell you, beware with might and main of the wicked acts and vicious seductions of this Pamphile, who is married to the Milo, whose guest you say you are. So that is the wife of Milo. Her name is Pamphile. She is a witch of the first rank and is accounted mistress of every necromantic chant. By merely breathing on twigs and pebbles and such like ineffectual things, she knows how to drown the whole light of the starry universe in the depths of hell, back in its ancient chaos. For as soon as she sees an attractive youth, she's on tenterhooks of admiration, and she rivets her eyes and her lustful mind upon him. She sows her blandishment, she invades his spirit, she snares him in unbreakable bonds of bottomless love. So I think she's trying to say Lucius doesn't need to live with Milo anymore because he's such a pretty man, and that the wife of Milo is going to put him under a love spell. So she should come and so he should come and live with her. She doesn't know that she was just confirming everything that Lucius needed to know about, his purpose for coming to Thessaly at all. Of course, he wants to stay close to the witch. Of course, he wants to live with the witch. She's what to call it? She's everything. Yeah, she's everything that he has been looking for. He even says that though Barina warned me apprehensively enough, but she merely excited my interests. And he starts to tremble with like haste. He wants to leave her at home and like go back to his to the home and just like come in contact with this witch, yeah, Pamphile. And he's thinking to himself like, oh, keep your wits about you. This is what we've always come to Thessaly to find, yeah, and we have found it. Let's just relax. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So he's thinking about this woman so much that he goes back home immediately. He leaves Brianna's like lavish home, and he runs back to his very poor room in that Milo's house here. And he's thinking, how is he going to get close to this woman? Because she does not speak to him. She does not interact with him. She just stays by the side of her husband, you know, and he now like devises a plan to like seduce the maid Fortis. Yeah, he devised a plan to seduce the maid Fortis, and um, it is just like it takes weeks for him to get to that point. Yeah, he compliments her meager appearance. He calls her beautiful. He says different things to her, and she's like resisting him at first. Like, why would such a noble man, be interested in me and all of that? You get. Anyways, she falls for it eventually. Like she falls for him eventually. Um, there's this moment where his wife, that's Milo's wife, predicts that rain is going to fall. She says, she's peering into a lamp, and she says it will rain heavily tomorrow. Her husband asked her how she could foretell the weather, and she replied that the lamp had thus prophesied. When Milo heard this, he laughed and said, "So we are feeding a mighty civil in this lamp, which looks out from its socket as from a watchtower on all the businesses of heaven and the sun himself." Anyways, Lucius is so excited and he interrupts Milo. He says, "This is my first experience of this type of divination. Though it is not so mysterious that this very flamelet, trivial as it is, and produced by human agency, should yet possess an awareness of that great and celestial flame of its as of its sire, that it should know and announce to us by divine intuition what the latter will be doing upon the crest of the sky." Like, bro, relax. Like, calm down. Calm down. Why are you so like relax? It's all right. Anyways, that whole moment happens, and you know, this guy Lucius is still telling about, like, he's going about a man, a magic man, a wizard in the city as well, and he's saying how the man, can foresee good things in business. Hello, Dennis. Hi, welcome to the chat. My name is King. And he's talking about his own experience. That's Lucius. He's talking about his own experience with divination, yeah, and how it worked out for him. And his name says the name of the man is Delphins. But Milo says that that man is just a trickster, eh? That everybody knows him, yeah. Don't mind him, like blah blah blah. But Lucius doesn't care. So now, because we're introduced to the character name. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. Now, because I'm introduced to the character named Delphins, this book now goes into the tale of Delphins. Or is it Delphins or Diaphanes? I don't know how to pronounce like this Grecian name there. So that's how interesting it is. Now I'm going to now go into like a whole paragraph, like not those paragraphs, like a whole page of Diaphanes' tale, like his beginning and his end in this city of Thessaly. Yeah? So the story of Diaphanes is that should I read it? No, let me just look at it and like narrate what happened. So one day he's like at the city center and the crowd is just in and loud, and he's handing out fortunes to different passerbys. Yeah. And then a certain merchant by the name of Sedo approached him with a query as to the most. I'm from Nigeria. This is Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria. Where are you from, Dennis? So a certain merchant approaches the Alphanis and says, "Oh, when should I travel?" Like, as all businessmen, most businessmen are kind of superstitious, about luck and fortune and all of that. Anyways, he asked him, and then the Alphanis told him that he should give him, no, the Alphanis told him a likely date. And then this man emptied out his purse for the Alphanis, like 100 dinars. I think that's a lot of money. Thank you, Dennis. Um, so now in this moment where this rich man is giving him money, yeah, for predicting something for him, like telling him when will be the best time to travel, another person, an upper class youth, grabbed him from the back, and the man, I don't talk about that on my channel. So the this rich man is telling this rich man, this youth that grabs him, that offends for the conversation here, he's now telling you that, "Oh, I'm glad to see you," like they are greeting each other, they are exchanging greetings here. And this friend is talking about how he came from the island of Uboya, you know and then as he's talking about his journeys here, Kenya, welcome Dave, I remember you. I think it's interesting that you joined today because I introduced this book by Kenyan author Ngugi. I don't know if you know him, Weep Not Child. So I'm going to be reading this book as we go along on the stream here. So check in tomorrow again. I'll be narrating the story for us on the chat. But welcome from Kenya. Welcome. Um 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 um. I'm trying to say what happened here because Delphin is here. Delphin is He's talking after his friend tells him he traveled by sea to get to this point here. The person starts to cause like people that traveled. Yeah, he's saying things like, "May all my enemies and ill wishers light on such a chapter of accidents as bad as the Odyssey. For the ship in which we embarked was smashed about by varying cyclonic blasts. The rudders were carried away, and no sooner had we brought the hulk near to the farther shore than she sank like a stone. We saved our lives by swimming to land, but lost all else. And then whatever odd men we scrapped together through the charity of strangers or the kindness of friends were stripped from us by a mob of robbers. My brother Arignotus was the only man to put up a resistance, and him they murdered before my very eyes. So. While he was mournfully recounting his mishaps, that merchant that already paid him for, dishing out, a day for him to travel, snatched up the money back. Do you get? And then the offense realized, hello, Jonathan. Hi, welcome to the chat. And the offense now realized that he had made a slip. In the sense where somebody's asking you, when can I travel as a fortune teller? And you say, oh, this day will be good to travel. And then before the person leaves you, you now start talking about how you traveled on a day and you experienced so much misfortune on the road. So it's like, how can you not predict in your own, like, how can you not predict a safe day for travels for yourself, but you want to predict for another person at the cost of 100 dinars or whatever, and the merchant took his money, and everybody around was now like bursting into laughter, because it's like, what sort of fortune teller would like slip up like that to get that kind of thing? Yeah. So that is just the tale of that offense, like. And I think Milo said it because this guy Lucius, mentioned that their friend was the person that actually predicted something for him, and things worked out and all of that. Yeah, but for them in this city of Thessaly, their friend is like a jokester, it's like a trickster, he's not real. So Jonathan, don't be scared. This is the book we are reading, The Golden Ass. Yeah, and the story is kind of like all over. It's not all over the place. It's just like this author is leading you somewhere, and you just have to follow. We are going to go on different adventures, and most of them have nothing to do with the main character, yet except in passing or in context of conversation, that he's listening in on a conversation, and we'll hear the entirety of the story. This is the back of the book. Have you heard me introduce this book before, Jonathan? Have you heard it before? Oh, come close. So this book is about a man that changes into a donkey, unfortunately, after dabbling in witchcraft. Yeah, and we are following his journey to becoming a human back through the story. Yeah, so that is the story. But we are going to first start from his existence as a man, yeah, and how he got to the point where he changed into a donkey. And that beginning part is very long. This is front, The Golden Ass by Apuleius. This is the author's name, Apuleius. This is a donkey, I guess. Donkey drawn in there. Translated by Jack. Jack Lindsay. So where was I? So all of that happens, and whatever. Milo is now telling him that anyways, the whole issue about this fake fortune teller, it might be real for you though, because there's nothing wrong on your journey, you got to this place successfully, nothing happened. So maybe the offending was, he predicted rightly for you, but like, we know the story here. So at the end of the day, the offending is still a liar, because something bad happens to him in this trip. Yeah, I'll be on this trip, so the offense is still wrong as always. Anyways, Milo is just, there, like talking about other things. Meanwhile, inside, Lucius is seething, he's angry, like, why are you so, like, discounting of the truth of, like, the occult or this, like, fortune telling and all of that. But it's in his heart, he does not say anything again, you know. So Lucius just says, let the offense carry on with his fortune, or miscarry with his ill-gotten gains on land and sea. And it's like he wants to go to bed. He doesn't want to listen to Milo's discussion anymore, because Milo does not believe in what he believes here. So anyways, he's also the way he's also seducing the housemaid Fortis, yeah. He's seducing her so that, like, in a way she favors him more, because you know how Milo is like a stingy man, yeah. She will now, out of the food stuff in the house, she will give him extra wine, grapes, cheese, bread, when everybody has gone to sleep. And when people have had their supper, their very miserly supper, she would instead come live in his room, food, extra food stuff, and even flowers and all that, and then started an affair with her. Decided, having a relationship, and he was promising her heaven and earth, and she didn't believe. Oh, really, like heaven and earth, but she didn't believe him. But they kept on having this relationship. So another day came, and he went to visit his cousin, or his mother's friend, Barhena. And Barhena is a very rich woman, yeah, and she's like holding a party for him, like, for not for him, but the way they hold parties, like, for any reason, yeah, to welcome him and whatever, whatever. Mm. And then in the party, yeah, they meet a person. They meet a man. They meet a man called Telephron. Yeah, this man Telephron, I think he's so good natured, and he's a storyteller. Like, he says a lot of adventures, for people, for public gatherings, So, and he's in this event with Barena and Lucius, and Barena is trying to, show Lucius like fun things in the country, and then she now begs Telephron to tell everybody his story again. And he's like, oh, he doesn't want to do it, he doesn't want to say it. And she's like, please tell us. Anyways, we now go now into what the tale of Telephron. So we've gone from the tale of Aristomenes to the tale of Diophanes. Now we're in the tale of Telephron. So now Telephron's story goes thus. When I was an orphan, I went from Miletus to visit the Olympian shows, and on the way, I meant to see the chief part of this far-famed province. I traversed Thessaly and came at last on an unlucky trail to Larissa. While I was taking a look around, I racked my wits for some means of nourishing my lean purse. For his travel funds were used up. Oh, ho, ho, ho. So let me tell you Telephone story. I remember this one. Telephone story is interesting. So, because he's poor and he's an orphan, he was traveling from place to place. And then he now got a job in this place he landed. He could not go anywhere because he didn't have any more money to travel. So he was looking for a job to continue his travels. So they now said he now found a job called Man Wanted to Guard Cops, Good Fee. Okay. So he started asking around for this job here. So they now told him that the description of the job is that you must keep the strictest watch every moment of the night with wide open, unblinking eyes firmly glued on the corpse. You mustn't shift your line of vision on any account, not even for one sidelong wink. Because because there are witches in this city that go to dead people, like corpses, before they are buried, and steal major organs from their body. Sometimes they steal the entire skin, their heart, their eyes, their nose, working organs, and then they now form from animals into human beings, and they run away. So when the family wakes up in the morning to bury their loved one that has passed, they will only see like bones or maybe a few organs, on the bed, and they'll have to bury it like that. So this particular person is, I think, is a rich man that died, and he left behind a rich widow. You understand? Anyways, they said the job is so serious that the other people that have come to guard the corpse before, they ended up being the ones that the witches will steal from the guards, not the corpse. Yeah, the witches will steal from the guards, not the cops. They will steal the guard's body, they will steal the guard's organ when he's sleeping. So they now told him that they will pay him a lot of money, for this job. They'll pay him a lot of money, but he has to keep. So him is like, this amount of money that you see in me, I'm a man of iron that never sleeps. I'm sharper eyed than Lysanus or Argon. I'm eyes all over. Anyways, they take you off, Sha. I started now. I thought you were on. I started reading the book. I started reading, like, I've been reading it for like 40 minutes now. I've been for 40 minutes now. So you've not been here. You have to rewatch the you have to rewatch the live. You have to because I've got like how many pages now? 64 pages in the book now. I've gone so far. So you have to rewatch the live to get to where I am. Anyways, so I'm on the tale of Telefron. And Telefron is a guest at a party, being held on behalf of in honor of Lucius visiting Thessaly. And the host of the party is his mother's friend. Yeah, his mother's very close friend, and she's very rich. You understand? So anyways, that's where we are. So Telephone is again, he's telling us the story of his journey through this city as an orphan. So he says he's going to keep guard over this, corpse. Nothing will happen. His eyes and all of that. So they take him to the widow that he'll be working for. That's her husband, the man that is dead. Is his body they want to guard because he's a rich, influential man in the city. Anyways, she now says, okay, before the man will guard, let us call in witnesses so that everybody will know the state of the body. So you will not lie that the body was bad before you started guarding. So she called in 7 witnesses to come and look at the body and see for themselves that there is nothing wrong with the corpse that they're asking him to guard. And those witnesses agree. Him too is there. He sees it. Everything is okay. So she says, see here, nose entire, eyes intact, ears undamaged, lips immaculate, chin unflawed, bear witness. All of that is done. Anyways, this Telephone now asks for supplies. He says that he needs a lamp, a huge lamp with sufficient oil that will last till daybreak. He needs warm water with wine holders and a cup. And then he needs a dinner dish with scraps of food. Anyways, she says she's angry. She's angry that, do you think you came here to party? You want wine, you want food. I will just give you a lamp and you do your work. And then she orders the guards to lock him inside the room with the body and all of that. So he's not in the room now. What will he do? He's watching over the corpse, and then he's staying there. But drowsiness starts to come, you get, and night fell, deeper night. Then the silence came as everybody else slept. Then the dead of the night came. Okay, so he says his stress, he confessed, was growing unbearable. When suddenly a weasel crept in, and halting close before me, fixed me with a needling eye. So he says to the mouse, get away from me, you dirty beast. Get away from here. Chases the weasel out of the room, and the weasel runs away. Anyways, he's still trying to stay awake, and immediately the weasel leaves the room, he falls into a sleep. And he says even the Delphi god could not have discerned any trouble. So anyways, what happened? He sleeps so much that the next thing he sees is that the sun has come up and the hen is crowing, yeah, to mark morning, yeah. And immediately, the wife, the widow, bursts into the room, and she flings herself on top the dead body, and then they check the whole body out, and everything is okay. Nobody came to steal any organ from the man, and even the guard too is okay. So they are done with him now. They say, oh, thank you for dutifully doing your tax and all of that. And so they give him his money, and he's like happy looking at the gold pieces and all of that. So he now says, because he's so excited that he got paid for such an easy job and he slept through the job, yeah. He now says in his excitement that, madam, I ask nothing better than to be one of your servants, and every time you desire my services in this capacity, call on me confidently. And it's like, are you thinking? What do you mean call on? How do you mean desire my services? As in, like, you expect her to keep having people die? You expect her to keep having her husbands die so that you can come and protect their bodies, or what? Like, But I don't think he was thinking correctly. Yeah. He was just like excited about the money. He's an orphan, he's poor. So before he had even finished like suggesting all of that now, all the guys started attacking him, started beating him up. Like, where did they go on? Me self, I was confused. Like, oh, like, why are you beating him? They beat him and they threw him out of the house. They threw him out of the house for that. Anyway, so he was outside now, trying to like, gather himself back, trying to get himself around while the burial, the funeral now started. So their own funeral is that they will take him through the oh, I'm so sorry about that, Kani. I hope you feel better. I'm so sorry about that. So they're taking through the streets. The funeral procession is going through the street, you know, and everybody's like crying, and all of that is happening. But as they're going through the streets here, an old man now starts to scream and cry following the procession. And it's like everybody, fellow Roman citizens, yeah, this person was assassinated. This man that is dead was assassinated. And it is his wife that assassinated him. She poisoned him so that she and her lover can grab, you know, the man's estate. So he's screaming about it, yeah, and the woman is in front with the procession and everything. Before everybody started screaming and calling for this woman's head, that they must lynch her, that she can never get away with this kind of nonsense. And it's like, where did they go on? So she now starts to swear and starts to cry that she did not do anything, that she's guiltless. She did not do anything, she's guiltless. So what happens? They now called this old man now called forth a first class prophet who has already agreed to recall the spirit here for a prize and all of that, to recall the spirit and animate the corpse from behind the threshold of death. That's what he is going to do. This old man brought this prophet. And so this prophet came forth, and he's kissing the hand of the corpse, and he's like calling on his own, spells and all of that for this dead man to come back to life. And then the dead man comes back to life. Everybody's quiet, they are waiting and all of that. So the dead man comes back to life and he says, oh, why do you call me back to the business of a transitory life after I have drunk the waters of life? Like, oh, let me return to my peace. Like, he wants to go back to death. The prophet now says, I bid you tell all the people, unveil the secret of your death. Were you killed or whatever? So the man now says, like the dead man now says, wickedly was I cut off by my newly wedded wife. Evicted by a venom cup, I made way for her lover in her yet warm bed. So at this moment, everybody now started like screaming at the wife. Yeah, everybody now started saying that she's the one that killed her husband and all of that. So the next thing that happened again, next announcement from the dead body was that once again the body says, I shall give you indisputable proof of my statement. I shall reveal to you what is known to no one save myself. So this is the interesting thing about telefraud. So telefraud was now saying that to prove that the spirit man, like the dead man, for him to prove that he's like, he's not lying against his wife here. He now says that what happened at night, when this telephone was guarding over his body. I told you that telephone fell asleep, guarding the body. And when he woke up, everything was fine on the corpse body and his own body. So Telefron, he's now saying that when the witches came to take his own body part, like sorry, the husband's reanimated corpse, is saying to the crowd that when the witches came to steal my own organs, they now looked at the guard, that's Telefron, and they took his nose, they took his lips, they took his ears, then they replaced it with like wax figures, wax moldings of all those organs on his face. You get, and he's holding on to his money in this moment and looking at the crowd. Then all of the crowd turns to look at Telefront, and when he pulls on his nose, it comes away. And he rubbed his ears, and the ears dropped to the ground, and everybody started laughing at him. Then he felt like he started sweating, and he ran away with his money from the town. So I think that's what makes Telephone an interesting like party guest, because I think he's missing his nose and his ears. You get, and so if he tells the story of how he missed his nose and ears, like a great entertainment for like party guests and at weddings and all of that. So that's why he's like an entertainment form to Lucius here. Anyways, when he finished telling the story, like we're back to the present day and everybody's laughing at him as always. Anyways, they now say tomorrow in their town is All Fool's Day, like April Fool's Day in this Thessaly. So, anyways, they just let us know that tomorrow is April Fool's Day, and everybody's talking about, how the god of folly or something, the god laughter, yeah, the god laughter will, they will be jolly right, for the festival and all of that. Anyways, Lucius is drunk, and he decides that it's time for him to go home. So on his way home now, he encounters bandits, and he starts to fight the bandits. They want to rob him, they want to beat him, and he starts to find them. And at the end of the day, he narrates that he kills them. Do you get? He kills them, three of them, and leaves their body on the street. Do you get? And he knocks on the door, and then the fourth is the maid of the house comes to open the door for him, and he goes into sleep. So now I remember that Lucius is, blackout drunk, but was able to fight off three bandits. It was rude because they put a spell on him now. He was supposed to guard the corpse to prevent the witches from doing that to a dead body. So instead of the witches doing it to a dead body, they did it to him. You get, they now put on all those things on his body, like when he was asleep, yeah, to make him not, notice what was missing from his body. And when that happened, they paid him and they kicked him out of the house, blah blah blah. So I think the point of the story is like we're going to be seeing different like fantastical, magical things happen in this story as we go forward. Yeah, I think that's the fun of this book. So many things like that you would not believe is going to happen in this book. Yeah, and they will just explain it as, oh, it's a witch. It is magic. Exactly. He said the eye has eyes all over his body here. He's the strongest guy. He's Iron Man. He's an iron guy. He has everything. Of course, it's poverty that I was talking now. He's poor. He's not going to travel anymore, and he will do anything to like, get money to continue his journey. So he will say anything now. He'll be overqualified for everything. Yeah, he's an Iron Man. So I'm going to page 70 here of the book, and I think, like, not I think, but I think this is where I'm going to stop for today. Yeah. And I'll start reading this second book as well. Weep Not Child. Have you read it, Jonathan? Have you seen it? The author Ngugi wa Thiong'o, he's actually, I think we got his book as a recommended textbook in secondary school, primary school. The Black Hermit, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. So I'm going to be reading this book alongside this one. So maybe tomorrow we'll start narrating how, like, wherever I get to, today reading this book, and then after that we'll continue with the golden ass. Like, that's what I want to do as we're going forward. So if you're interested, stick around. This will continue book the third. So anyways, thank you for joining me on today's stream. Thank you for spending time with me. It was very weird at the start, But I'm so happy I persevered, to the very end. Thank you for. Oh, you've read it, Abby. You read it, Jonathan. Oh my God! Thank God that you read it. We'll have a fun time discussing it tomorrow because I want to read. Like, I want to get through this book. I want to finish it. I know it's be a recommended textbook. I know it's a textbook. It has to be. This guy is actually very. This author is very, very. How to say? Yeah, he's one of the greats. Like, he's one of the classical African authors. Like, when you mention African authors, you have to mention his name, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. So I'll read it today. Not everything. I don't think I can finish everything today, but I'll get through like most of it today, and then we'll continue. We'll narrate. We'll speak about the book. We'll discuss the book tomorrow. How about that? So, anyways, thank you so much for spending time with me here today. I know everybody's busy and everybody has their life, but checking me out, and staying and listening to me, narrate stories that I care about. I appreciate all of you for showing up. Subscribe, please, and please don't unsubscribe. Subscribe, and look forward to beautiful, wonderful things going forward. Yeah. So I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know. I feel like I might come again live later in the evening. I'm not sure. Depends on, maybe after I've had lunch, I'll feel better. I'll feel stronger to come back. Yeah. Till then. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye. Yeah, that's very actually. Let me save the screenshot. That's actually one thing that we are going to really process in this story. His enthusiasm for education, even in colonial Kenya. Like, yeah, anyway, but I'm going to post this. Thank you so much for enjoying today's stream. Okay, so I wanted to cut it off here. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, subscribe and be good. Okay, bye bye. Bye.